Killing Fields is set in 1973 and is based on the true life account of American journalist Sidney Shumberg's time in Cambodia at the start of the Civil War. It also details the rise of the terrorist group the Khmer Rouge. Sidney, played by Sam Waterston, is helped by local journalist and interpreter Dith Pran, played by first-time actor and Cambodian local Hangus Noor. What unfolds is the true story that Dith had to endure, but also that of the person who plays him. Hang suffered in the prison camps of the Khmer Rouge. His wife died in childbirth, and even though he was a trained gynecologist, he couldn't treat her for fear that they would all be killed. Aside from the script and the documentary style, this film's main draw for me was the performance by Hangus Noor, who won an Oscar for the film. Hang's performance in the film is incredibly touching and powerful. No matter what he goes through, he is always full of compassion. An example of which is when he and the other Western journalists are captured and he barters for their survival. These people, from another world almost, are in part responsible for the situation Pran finds himself in. Hang's life would end tragically on the streets of LA at the hands of a street gang in 1996. Responding to his death, Dith Pran said, "He is like a co-messenger, and right now, I am alone." For me, the connection that Dith Pran and Hang Noor shared is the reason for why this film is so powerful. Directed by Roland, The Killing Fields has a great documentary style that is full of humanity, honesty and dignity, captured on camera by Chris Menges and edited by Jim Clark. Joffe manages to get performances that aren't mannered or showy, they are just honest and believable. John Malkovich, here in his second feature film, gives a good performance as the rough and ready photographer Al Rockoff. What I love about the film is how it throws us into the action and manages to capture the life of a war correspondent. The breakfast scene early on in the film shows brilliantly how ordinary life can so easily and quickly be destroyed. The brilliant script written by Widnell and I's Bruce Robinson also feeds into that immediacy, with the amount of dialogue given to Sidney in these opening scenes. Waterston takes these lines and rattles them off at such a pace, it's hard at times to keep up, but not to the detriment of the storytelling. Bruce Robinson's anti-authoritarian voice shines through in the film. I couldn't think of anyone better to take the American government to task. He lets us exorcise the feelings of helplessness and horror at what we are seeing as an audience member. Maybe it's time for Bruce to write a story about our current state of affairs here in the UK.
But that f***ing idiot, Boris f***ing Johnson, what?
Although, I think it would probably be a hard R rating. Robinson's script pulls no punches, and you can't with a film that is based upon a particularly horrible section of our recent past. The one thing I'm not completely sold on is the music by Mike Oldfield. I prefer it when it's more abstract to the traditional sounding strings and voices. It sounds like a product of its time, but I don't think that's any bad thing. The Killing Fields is a great British film, and wears that badge very proudly, I feel. This isn't a sensationalist or overly sentimental depiction of war, but it is all about the relationship between Sidney and Pran, and trying to tell their story with honesty and dignity. Now, I feel like I've said honesty and dignity quite a lot during this review, but that's exactly what this film made me feel. What I think is really great about The Killing Fields is the fact that it just disappears. All of the things that I've talked about, the great direction, the great writing, the great performances, they melt away, because what we're really focused on is the story. And that's the way a film trying to tell this story should be. Thank you very much for watching the review, and I hope you enjoyed The Killing Fields as much as I did. Please let me know, as always, your thoughts about the film, but also, if you could let me know any recommended reading about this subject or the film, please let me know. I'd be really interested to read that. The film I'll be reviewing next week is David Lean's Dr. Zhivago, so please watch the film. I've got the links down below, and as always, if you like what I do here, make sure you subscribe and like this video, really does help, and I'll see you next week for Dr. Zhivago. Goodbye!